Okay, so in this video I am going to be talking about traveling again. So I have done a previous video about solo traveling. In that video I talked about the benefits of traveling in general, solo traveling, why you should do it, and what I was trying to do is convince you to actually try it for once. And in this video, well, I guess it's going to be more of a follow-up, and what I'm going to do is talk about the benefits of it again, and I'm going to give you an example of a trip that you can do when it comes to solo traveling, or traveling in general if you want to get into it. Perhaps you have traveled in the past before, but you don't really know where to start. Maybe you want to travel by yourself. Maybe you have a friend you want to travel with. Doesn't matter. You can do both. You can be by yourself. You can be with somebody else as well. This is going to be applicable to you anyway. The example that I'm about to give you is going to be an example of one of my trips, one of my travels that I have done pretty recently. You don't need much money for it. You don't need much planning for it. It's only a couple of days and it's very, very easy. And you know, if you do something like this, it will give you a good idea whether you really want to do this or not. It is a very good way to reinvent yourself with as little effort as possible in a way, and come back with a lot of stories and memories, and just come back with inspiration perhaps. So this trip that I'm going to be talking about is Bergen. So I went to Bergen, Norway in March 2023. And I went for 2 days. I actually went with my brother. But my point is, the trip itself doesn't matter. I'm going to kind of talk you through what I have done, but I'm going to give you some examples of kind of trips that you can do as well. But I have done this trip for 2 days. So I flew on Saturday morning and I came back on the Monday evening. So I spent maybe about two and a half days or so in the city of Bergen. It's a very nice city, by the way. I really recommend going there. But the flights that we have gotten cost us maybe like £80 return, which is pretty cheap. It could have been even cheaper if you went at a different time. I mean, if you fly places like times like January or February, it's even cheaper. Doesn't have to be Bergen specifically, but I'm just going to give you an example of one of my experiences. We went there, flew Saturday morning. That means we had the whole of Saturday to look around, whole of Sunday to look around. And then Monday evening is when we flew back, which meant that we more or less had Monday as well. So it's a lot of time, especially for a city break like this. It's perfect. It's very easy to organize. And if you're someone who's working or university or something, essentially you're only going to be having to have 1 day off from work or from university because it's the Monday, right? Fly on Saturday morning and come back on Monday evening. It is pretty intense. It is pretty intense because the lack of sleep. I mean, you're going to be waking up pretty early on a Saturday morning. I think when we went, we woke up at like 4 o'clock or something. It's pretty early, so lack of sleep was quite evident in the first day. And when you come back on the Monday, you're going to be getting back pretty late as well, which also means that, you know, your first day back or to work or university or whatever you are doing, it's going to be a bit tough. But it's a sacrifice that you have to make. This is a very, very good trip to reinvent yourself, right? Maybe you're a person who's stuck in life. You don't know what to do about yourself. Maybe you have been doing a 9 to 5 for a very long time and you just feel a bit stuck. You feel like you're just in a cycle. You want to reinvent yourself and you don't really know how to go about it. There has been studies about traveling, right? When you feel stuck, when you don't really know what to do, traveling is what's going to give you inspiration. It's a very good way to gain inspiration. And a trip like this is a very good way to get started with this, right? Especially if you haven't done any traveling before. It's hard to explain with words how you can reinvent yourself with something like this, but it's a very good way to challenge yourself and do something a little bit different, because you go to a different country, see a different culture, talk to different people. I mean, when you're there, you have to make sure you talk to people as well, so you have to move out your comfort zone in that way anyway. But anyway, let me finish talking you through my experience in Bergen, just to give you an idea of what I have done and what we have done in the couple of days that we were there. First of all, we didn't spend that much money. I mean, hotel itself, we were there for 2 nights, which would have cost maybe 50 euros each or something like that, or pounds each. Flights were pretty cheap, as I was saying. Transport to the airport was fairly cheap as well. You can get the Gatwick Express. I mean, depends where you're coming from. In London, you can get the Gatwick Express. But there's many ways to do this, but it's not very expensive and it's very easy to do. Now, also in terms of experiences, we have arrived on the Saturday. Saturday, we went for a walk, went for a nice hike. It was a very short hike actually, but we got to a point where you can see most of Bergen. It's very beautiful, by the way. And went for a little adventure, then went to the city and do some sightseeing. It was very nice. And then the Sunday itself, which is our second day there, we went on a hike. It was actually pretty cloudy, which wasn't very ideal. However, it was a very good experience because we got to see the nature more as well. It was raining, it was snowing, it wasn't very ideal. However, it was just amazing to see the nature as well. And then we finished the hike around 4 or 5 o'clock late afternoonish, and we spent the rest of the night in Bergen, had a very good time. It was pretty amazing. I mean, Bergen itself is a pretty expensive city. It is in Norway. I mean, if money is one of your concerns, then perhaps you should try somewhere else. Many other places you can go to Eastern Europe. I mean, if you just go on Skyscanner and literally type in Saturday to Monday flights, and you find places which has from Saturday morning to Monday evening at a cheap price, then you can choose one of those locations. I mean, of course, you have to make sure you don't pick times like August. If you fly in March, January, February, even October, November, then you are probably going to be fine. So this is what you need to be doing. But generally, in terms of locations, there's many places you can go to. You can go to Italy, Rome, for example. You can go to Budapest, Prague. There's many places you can get cheap tickets to. You just have to be doing your research on Skyscanner and pay attention to the prices. And I mean, at times you can find flights even cheaper. I mean, in January, I went to Rome. That was by myself again. And I spent £20 on a return ticket. It was with Wizz Air, and I mean, that is pretty good, right? I mean, if you pay attention to the prices and you do some research, you can find a lot of cheap tickets, and you can get started with traveling in a very affordable way as well. But my point in general with this trip, this example of a trip, is that you're literally going from Saturday to Monday, so you're having 2 or 3 days for yourself or with your friend or whatever you're going with. It's not a long time, so you've got to be making the most of it, and you'll be surprised how many more memories you come back with, because you think, oh, 2-3 days I can't really do much. I mean, you have to be a bit more bold or reckless as well, and make the most of it, go out when you're tired and stuff like that. But in the same time, it is worth it because you come back with a lot of stories, and it's a way to reinvent yourself. And as I was saying, if you're stuck, it's a very good way to find yourself inspiration in your life, and perhaps learn something new that will give you the answer to the questions that you have in this current moment in time. But after Sunday, obviously we had the Mondays when we were flying back. On Monday, we went on a small cruise, like a 3-4 hour cruise in Bergen. It was very good. So what I'm trying to say with these things that we have done is that in 2-3 days, you can do actually quite a lot. I mean, we've done sightseeing, we've done hiking, we went for a long walk, we went on a cruise. We've done so much in 2 or 3 days. So for you to say that 2 or 3 days is not enough to do anything is not right. I mean, if you are sleeping in a lot and you don't want to, you're a little bit lazy, then perhaps it's going to be the case. However, generally speaking, if you sacrifice a little bit of sleep and you have a few more coffees than usual, then you can make the most of this. I mean, it's going to be pretty intense in a way, and as I was saying, you're going to be tired on Saturday and on the Tuesday when you get back as well, but it is something that is definitely worth it in my opinion. And also, when it comes to solo traveling, why don't you start with a small trip like this? I mean, let's say you're not really sure whether you like solo traveling or not, but you want to try it and want to give it a try. Why don't you do a 2-day trip? Because let's say you don't like it, at least you only have to be uncomfortable for a couple of days. If you went away for a week, then maybe after the first 2 days you realize that it's not for you and you're going to hate the rest of the days. So you might as well do something a bit shorter like this, which in this case is literally 2 days, so it's not really long. I mean, you book a day off work, literally nothing, have a good time. So I feel like this is the best way to get started. And trust me, you are going to be learning so much more than you think. Words can't describe how much. I mean, you have to do things as well. You can't just stay in your hotel room, of course, but in the same time, I'm sure you know this. But yeah, my point is, I really recommend for you to start traveling. It doesn't have to be solo traveling, as I was saying, but if it's solo traveling, then it's perfect to start with something like this, especially. In terms of planning, as I was saying, you don't really have to do much. All you have to do is find a cheap flight on Skyscanner, which doesn't take that long if you think about it. I mean, you have to check a couple of dates and check a couple of locations, book the flights to a place which is popular. There's a little bit to do here and there, and also apart from that, look at the hotel prices. If you want to go to the Nordic countries, it's going to be a bit more expensive. If you want to save money, then go to somewhere like, I don't know, Budapest, even Italy or something. There's cheaper hotels there. Book the flights, book the hotels, book your train tickets, and then you are pretty much there. And then I feel like you can be even more spontaneous. I mean, some people like planning, some people like a spontaneous trip like this. If you're more spontaneous, then you can experiment with different things. I mean, obviously tailor it to yourself, but in the same time, this 2-day trip can be very flexible. There's many different ways to it. If you want to save money, you can also save money in different ways, like going to a corner store and instead of eating out all the time. But generally speaking, I mean, I've done a video about this before. I've done a video of an example of one of my travels. I went to Rome in January 2023. So I have done a video about this, so if you haven't already seen this, watch this. In this video, I'm giving you some examples and some inspiration of how you can save money if you're traveling. So again, if money is one of your concerns, then make sure you watch this video because it will give you some inspiration and hopefully some ideas of how you can save money while you're traveling. But this is what it was for this video. If you enjoy this type of content, if you enjoy content to do with traveling, then give this video a like and I will consider making more in the future. But generally, if you enjoy content to do with self-improvement, which also includes traveling, but stuff like going to the gym, working out, sports, sometimes about boxing and football and things like that, or just general self-improvement, like become a better version of yourself, then consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. And I mean, I make a video every week, so tune in for the next one, which will come out next week.